Hey, it's you. How you doing? Wow, echo. I have my phone on because I'm supposed to be on call and I can't miss alerts. I have not been streaming much this week. Everything we seem to do in life is taking over. Been trying to progress this little guy though and get the animations set up. So I've been following this. A directional walk. I only have 6 directions to work with. Oh, kids on holiday too. Yikes. Sorry, you got here so early. There's going to be an ad break. Change the sign. Change the sign. There we go. I actually want to work on channel automation, but I'm making myself do this because I think I need to keep moving forward. I see a little bit of forward progression every day. I hope your family's well. So I've been working. I colored in. He suggests that you choose different colors for each limb so that you can see what's going on. So I've got my reference image. I finally, yes, thank you. Yeah, us and the dogs coping okay. I finally figured out that I was doing the sprite sheets in Aseprite all wrong. And that if you just used frames, it would create the sprite sheet for you, which I didn't know. So that was good. I've learned that now. So now I have south facing as just a colorized version of the reference image. And then southeast is the one I'm working on, which is pretty out of whack. He looks like he's leaning backwards. But I figure if I can just get some kind of attempt at all the directions, and then I can refine it. Because perspective is not a thing I know very much about. So southeast is kind of there. Northeast is wrong, and I need to change the rails on northeast too. So, and then north will be the same rails, and then northwest and southwest don't matter because we can just copy them across from northeast and southeast. So we really only need to do 4, which is good. Apart from the idle animation, which is going to probably take a while too. So in this one, the rails need to change to, we need to get rid of these ones for one thing. Pixel art, something you really need to work on. Yeah, I'm trying to do a little bit often because otherwise it's just too painful. I don't know if I'll ever get to the point where it feels natural, but we'll give it a crack. I put 2 posts out in Adam Eunice's chat and in Pirate Software, basically just saying, "Hey, help!" But I don't think the right people saw them at the right time, so I just have to be persistent. Because perspective is not something I've ever really had to learn, I think. The art kind, not the human kind. Okay, so that's the rails. That should go northeast and add back in the rest. So he's facing away. Pink is right leg. So I think we just work on kind of doing the same thing that we did for southeast and just get the feet in roughly the right place. So hide everything except these. Get the right layer. Need to remember to keep doing that. Get rid of the right leg. Hey, Wolverness. Yeah, I think you just copped a plain ad. I don't think it was a pre-roll because it looks like they're off. Um, yeah, and I mean honestly, the ads are a bit of a token, but I think if I get into the habit of just working around them, maybe it's a good practice. I don't know. The 2 cents an hour I make or whatever. Okay, so it needs to be still kind of in the middle here, and blob, and maybe blob. That's not going to be accurate, but we'll worry about it later. And then left leg is going to be its color match here. Get rid of this. Oh, actually, maybe I'll just, yeah, no, get rid of this. I think it's perfect too. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Um, blob, blob. Now, which one are you going to be able to see? You're going to be able to see the right one, right? Because he's facing this way. So if I turn the torso back on, this is going to be kind of, whoa, that's not at all what I wanted. Let's go to the right layer, shall we? It's going to be kind of, we're going to be able to see the join with the right leg, but not much of the left leg. Whereas, no, bad. Whereas in Southeast, we could see the right leg and part of the left leg. Hmm. I don't know if these are going to be mirror images of each other. I have to figure it out. Okay. What I don't understand is why. Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll roll with it. So in the torso, I need to remove quite a bit of this because we want things to kind of slope down on in a way to match this line or get close to this line. And it's such a steep angle. And it's going to have to be bigger than that too. Maybe just add in bits and pieces here in semi-random fashion. And then kind of compare how high it is, because even when it's on an angle like this, I want it to be roughly the same height in the hex. So this one goes all the way up to the top. So I kind of want the same thing to happen. So I guess this needs to continue above the top and below it, kind of. These are just rough blobs so that we can get the positions right without having to worry about how it actually looks. Okay, so when you bring the arms in, we're going to be able to see all of the right arm and almost nothing of the left arm. Maybe just like a shoulder or something. So I have to go reveal the right arm, which is way off. Uh, magic select, and kind of, okay, so it's going to move behind the torso. So I need to remove enough of the torso, or even just change its z-axis, I guess. Can you do that? I don't even know. I have to remove enough. Oh, I have to deselect that, right? So back to right arm, deselect. It's all mechanical. I have to tell myself all of these things. Can't do anything automatically. That would be just crazy. So move chunks of this out of the way so that that giant gormless right arm can come in. You might not actually see all that much of the torso. Let's figure this out. Kind of like this. Just get some of this a little bit less chunky. And then, yeah, okay, we can roll with that for a minute. It's not going to be right, but that's okay. One thing at a time. Back to torso. And just fill this in a tiny bit. And all of these will end up with their little mystical, magical energy force field thing around them eventually, like from the reference image. Ooh, that's not what I wanted. There we go. That needs to come back a bit, but we can figure that out. I don't know that you're actually going to see anything of the left arm, maybe just part of its shoulder. So we go to left arm layer and just hint at it a little bit. I'm trying to follow is this kind of thing. Where's the right place here? I think it's actually in the second one. I'll put desktop sound back on.
Better. And then even here I could probably conceive this going that way.
So he's just
cool.
Got it animating in place on rails.
So we're almost done with our basic
and just kind of moving in all the different directions.
So let's move the arms on 2, 1.
But of course, his character's a lot smaller and simpler than mine. So, and it's 8 directions and not 6. He was saying that the angle, make model, animate model. Yeah, exactly. 3D, man. You're so right. And you know that might be where I end up, but I got to learn the basics. I feel like I'm serving my apprenticeship, right? He was saying that this angle, this kind of shallow angle, is actually easier to work with, but when you start getting steeper angles, like on the hexagon, it gets a bit tricky. And I want to make a 2D game eventually, so I need to learn the way. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I don't need to get fussy with this. I just need pretty much an attempt, and then we need to bring in the head. I think that leg is going to end up being wrong because there's not enough of it visible, and I think the torso is maybe not high enough. But we'll have to think about that. Because if you look at where the arms are in the reference image, they're kind of well above the hex. And I think we need to kind of maintain that a little bit. Otherwise, the head's going to end up further and further down. It'll look really strange when it's changing directions. Because the goal is to have it, when it's pathing to a node or a target or whatever, to have it change its animation depending on which way it's moving through the hex. Um, okay, so if we bring in the head, which is going to be completely wrong, yeah, so it needs to be kind of down, but also I don't want it to go down too far. Oh, I keep doing that. So let's go. What did I do for southeast? I kind of, oh boy, because he's got this giant head, man. It's huge. It's the biggest part of his body. Um, so I can't make it too small, but I can trim it back a little bit on this way maybe, and move it. It's going to need to be a little bit further up than that because there needs to be a gap between the head and the body. And I'm sure those straight lines are bad in some way, but never mind. Um, so if we look through south, southeast, northeast, no, it's just not good, not good. Southeast kind of got the right angles. I think northeast needs to match a little bit more of the angle of the hex side because when you look at south, it's flat across the top, kind of matching that. So maybe I need to be more like this and less like this. Don't know. Don't know, eh? Hmm. Pumpkin head, exactly. Giant yellow banana head. Um, okay. So yeah, arms higher and kind of larger. They need to be big, dominant, bulky shoulders. I'm just going to bring this forward a little bit more central, which is good. And then that could mean the right arm can come up. And then remove a little out of head. So we can see that. Bulk out right arm. So it's not so tiny. Hello, puppy. How you doing? Go, puppy. Thank you. Seriously need pumpkin. And then this relative size of the torso is kind of smaller, but maybe that's okay for now. Zombie says, hey, uh, ugh, just stop doing that. Seriously. Left arm, left arm. Kind of up higher, but obscured, either obscured by the head or next to the head. Let me see. Let me think about this. If you're walking, someone can't see your left arm and you're a giant pumpkin head. Is the shoulder tucked in behind your head? Is it next to your head and kind of out in front? Hmm. I think it makes more sense for the head to be mostly above it. Perspective is hard. He still looks like he's kind of leaning backwards. And now this guy looks like he's leaning forwards. So what changes that? Let's experiment here. So back into head and kind of change the angle a little bit and get rid of some of this angle. What changes our perspective without having any more details of the face? What does it take for him to look like his head is upright? How much do you have to remove before that happens? Okay, so he has to go quite, you have to get the weight of the head further back. And then he does look a little bit more like he's upright, but a very strange shape. Okay, and then according to the other images, his right arm needs to be well higher than that. Well, at least his left arm, because his right arm should be naturally down because he's turned around, but his left arm should be higher. So we could go left arm, bulk that out a little bit. And we could hint at the presence of a left hand. And the torso is coming down to sort of almost a halfway. Here it's well higher than that. Definitely facing southeast, definitely facing northeast. What about the legs? So left leg, um, arguably we could start further back and then could potentially show a little bit more, so to speak, show a bit more leg. All right, can't do it behind the torso. I guess this must be Z-axis, like the higher you go in the list of layers. So left leg. I walked 100 meters and it's taken 20 minutes. Everything needs to be sniffed. Oh my God, have you seen the story of the pie bush, the magic pie bush? Oh, dude. Yeah, here we go. You're actually learning from watching this. I'm surprised. This Just the simplicity of it. A month ago, Dusty found half a pie in this bush, so every day until the end of time, we must closely inspect the magic pie bush. It just, it speaks to me on so many levels. This is exactly what my dogs do. We um we started life giving, I started Ted's life with us giving treats to him so he would get in the bath when he was dirty after a run in the park or whatever. And so every time he walks past the bath now, um, he just looks in it just to see if there's anything that had magically materialized there. Yeah, I love it so much. So yeah, magic pie bush. Um, and the comments are hilarious because everybody's, well, they were before this turned into X, and now who knows. Um, but yeah, everybody deeply empathizes with it. Okay, so we have a bus shelter where people drop their snacks. Yeah, must inspect. Absolutely. You might miss something. Okay, so is it true that I've got a reference image for North as well somewhere? I think it might be in characters old. This is where, oh yeah, this guy came onto the stream and was, I think, so revolted with my lack of Aseprite skills. This was a week or so ago that he left almost immediately. But before he left, he said, "You need to give him a tail." And I was like, "Oh yeah, we should give him a tail." So now he's got a tail, except you have to make sure that he's facing away from you because otherwise it just looks wrong. Um, so yeah, we've got a reference image for facing away, which is also north. And the rest of them were just me animating arrows. Oh boy. Okay. So north is right leg, right arm, left arm. Yep, that's right. So it's basically the reverse of south. Um, so is it also true that northwest is going to be a direct copy of, oh, that would be ads. Here's a tail or opposing pouch. Exactly. I don't want to say it's a cod piece, but um, add button. In which Basie checks his Slack just to make sure that no one has had an incident. I was um, I was checking my email earlier because we were outside in the garden. I didn't want to miss anything in case something happened. And there was a couple of emails about an incident starting, so I went and checked, and the like a very senior management person was there, and I thought, oh shit, I've missed an escalation of some sort. But it wasn't. It was just he happened to be looking at his phone. Um, so Northwest would have the same rails as Southeast, so we could copy those by doing that and going to Northwest and pasting, and then showing the hex, and they should be in the right spot. Okay, and that's the ads done. And then let's see here. So is it true that you can copy, say, Northeast? Can you just mirror it? So if we reveal everything, can I really? Oh no, Southwest and Northeast you can mirror. Right, you just have to turn it around, right? No, I'm so confused. Um, let's try it. So northeast, northwest. I I think I would have to collapse them all and then expand them. Let's do it layer by layer and see if this works. So select. Boom did something similar. It wasn't true 8-way, it was 4 with mirrored left and right exactly. Which isn't too bad when you're doing like one frame, but when you've got like 10 of them for each one, I think mirroring is pretty helpful. And then paste, and then invert, flip horizontal. I think that's going to work. Let's try it. Northeast, select torso. I'm sure there's a faster way to do this. It would just be lame and slow. I don't think this is right. Okay, trust the process, trust the process. No, it can't be right because the torso's in the wrong place. Hmm, I'm so confused. The head's flipped and the torso's flipped, but they're not in the same positions relative to each other. Why? I'd expect them to be more like that. Hmm. Let's pursue this angle for a little bit longer. It works well enough that it'll be useful. Did I get it right? Did I flip right arm? No. And then legs, 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 legs. Now this is where it won't work. The opposite leg is involved here. So actually you need to change right leg for left leg. And in fact, right arm and left arm. Oh my gosh. So no. Uh, oh, and they'll be in the wrong layers. Oh God, it's all falling apart. Okay, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Left leg. And then remove right leg. Why can't I remove that? What's going on? Oh, because left leg's directly underneath it. Fair enough. Okay, so turn that off. There we go, that's better. And then, so that's left, so it's the wrong color. Oh, this is so fiddly. Give me rust any day. Um, and then fill, no, wrong layer, better, better. And then we select left leg from the other side and we take it across to right leg and that's so not it. What just happened? So confused. Did I not copy it? Copy. Go to right leg, paste. There we go. Flip horizontal. To be honest, I probably could have just drawn it by now. And then collapse that, go back and get the color. Okay. So that was a very long, drawn out way of copying him across. And even then, he's not in the right place. His leg's too far back in the hex. So probably we could just take everything and move it forward and more central. Left arm, that's probably right arm at the moment, actually. Yep. It's all wrong. So confusing. I definitely think this is the kind of thing that you just need to practice and practice until it becomes second nature. Left leg, right leg, and then switch the layers for left and right arms because they're wrong. So this is right arm, but it should be left arm. So cut and paste. And then left arm cut and paste. That tiny little hand needs to move up. Probably get a lot bigger, but never mind. Okay, so that gives us south, southeast, northeast, north, and northwest in all of their glory. So much not glory. Okay, so we just need southwest. So southwest is going to be very similar to north to southeast, except reversed. Let's see if we can do that a little faster. Um, actually, does Adam have a magic solution for doing that? Here he's already animating. Still animating. Let's see where he kind of copies them all across. Maybe in the previous video.
Arm, when it's forward, your left leg is forward. The scenario here, a walk is really...
He's talking about a different animation. So he's got southwest, south, northeast, northwest.
Right. And for the sake of the animations, we actually don't need any of the west ones. So we can actually just delete these because these are the 5 that we actually need. So we're going south. We're not currently looking south, so we should make this character now face us. So I'm just gonna try to think about evening out all of these discrepancies, and I want to come kind of halfway. I think this color here is a little too
Because
bright.
if it's
Maybe
true that
so on this
you
one
have to
here,
animate
we're going to
walking
bring
too,
everything
yeah,
and flatten it
exactly.
out, right?
If
So
it's
they're
true
facing
that you don't
the
need
camera
the west
directly.
ones,
Maybe give it a little bit of perspective
then
because we're sort of still
I probably
in
shouldn't
that
add them at
top
all.
down space.
Because if you can just copy them all
Especially at
across,
this level of detail, like you definitely have
I don't
time
know,
to
eh?
play around with this stuff and just find something that you like. You know, it might take you a little bit to land on something that you're happy with, and that's okay. That's fine because we're not really investing that much time into these frames, right? It's just blobs at this point. So as long as you can try to visualize what you want and make a decision about whether or not you're sort of like getting there or not, then it's fine. So let's just use that for front. So this is south. Does that look normal? I think we want to maybe like have the legs spread out a bit further. Cool. So now we've got
It's
this,
just
we've
so
got this.
fast.
Now we need
It
east.
makes me
So now we're going to draw this character
boggle.
totally from the side, which means we probably won't see this arm and we probably won't see this leg.
How did he do
And
that?
this is something I'm much more familiar with. The actual proportions are going to be something like this. So if you think about, you know, the character standing on like a platter, you know, if the character's standing here and their feet are coming up like that, then their feet are going to be further up in terms of like the pixels, like up here. If we were to then rotate that character, well, now their feet are like here and here. This foot's come down, right, as we rotate around. So that's
Step
kind of
1,
what we're
open
replicating
Aseprite. Step 2,
here
draw
by making
everything.
sure that this
Step
is
3,
higher than this,
profit.
right? The foot comes down as we rotate, and this one here should be like this, I think.
Yeah.
And it might be
I
nice to
mean, he's
actually
first and
show
foremost
like
an
the
artist,
top
so,
angle of this.
but his game is really beautiful. But it's still not finished. Okay, so I want to do this one anyway because I want to understand how it all works. So I think it's a good exercise for me to draw all of the perspectives. I wonder if I can do it kind of from scratch this time rather than copy across. Let's try that. So we want draw, we want white, we want a slightly bigger thing, and the rails go like this. I don't actually know the rules on whether you can play someone else's video on your stream. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Oh, damn, I just did that in the right arm layer. I'm so talented. Okay, now, um, so for southwest facing, we want the right leg, which is pink, and we go to the right leg layer, and we go um, kind of roughly in the middle there, and then left leg is um, this weird blue color, indigo or whatever. So that's where the feet sit. And then we've got um, a giant yellow head. We get the head position right. And we blob in the head in a giant fashion. And then we blob in the torso. Sort of. And then arms, you're mostly not going to see the right arm. So right arm would normally be, is that the right arm color? Yes. So southwest right arm, kind of just hiding there. See, it's pretty close to the head usually. And maybe the suggestion of a right hand. And then your left arm is going to be that color. And we want a decent chunk of the torso left out so that we've got room for the arm, kind of. And then back to left arm. It can sit up here somewhere. Go away. Thank you. And bulk that in. And a big blob and a little blob hand. This Z-axis thing is quite difficult to get used to. It's like everything higher up in the layer list gets drawn on top. You kind of don't want that for torso. The torso should be further down. Okay, so now left leg, and we will blob it in. That is not working. Why is that not working? There we go. Blob, blob, blob. More blob. And right leg, not so visible. Blob, blob. The head is horribly misshapen, much like my own. Okay, so when we compare it to everything else, we get reference, south facing, southeast facing, northeast facing, north facing, northwest facing, southwest. Southwest is the worst, but that's okay because we've got all the positions now. So he can rotate around like so. That torso color's wrong. Whose head is normally shaved? I don't know. Not mine. Uh, that's better. Okay, so save that before anything goes wrong. Okay. So now that we've got that, we need to try, at least try to animate one of these directions, and we'll pick one that's fairly easy to do. The only thing is, I'm worried whether I've got these proportions right in all the views. Like this looks wrong to me. That actually looks probably the closest. I wonder if we should try and animate that one. Just for shits and giggles. Okay, let's try it. So we need to add, I think, 6 frames or another 5. Frame is Alt N. The hell is my N key? Oh, that did not do what I was hoping it was going to do. Why? That's better. We'll do it the laborious way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, cool. Have a flat part on the crown you can balance a point on. That's awesome. Oh man, a full one or uh, okay. All right, so let's have a quick look at what he's saying about the walk. Don't know if he started one direction or not.
An extreme in terms of the frames. So like there'll be the foot down.
By the way, does the desktop sound from the video come through? Just out of curiosity. I've got it turned on, but I've never used it before.
The foot back, the foot forward, that's 3 frames. If we go between those two, that's 5, but we've got a 6-frame animation. So instead, I would take this and I'll distribute it into one that's
Oh, that's good.
slightly behind and one that's slightly in front. And that way we'll have 3 frames dedicated to it being in front, 3 frames dedicated to it being in back. That's 6. So I'll actually just animate
Thank
the
you.
feet here. We'll go feet. First frame, I want the foot kind of a little bit further back, maybe like here. We're kind of trailing a little bit behind. And then next frame, let's keep the body for all of these. So next frame, this foot's going to be like at its like most extended position, as far back as it can go.
Okay. This I think I could do. I hope. Um, I mean, we'll soon find out if it looks like shit. So, all right. So right leg. Start with the right leg. At least his legs are in component parts. So, oh, that would be some ads. Really should have brought a cup of tea in here with me. Feels like that's what's missing. Oh, you'll be back to your streaming from Monday, so you can relax. I'm not dead. Excellent. I know, right? Because I haven't seen. I've seen Biggs' stream a little bit recently, but I haven't seen anybody else. So they're all on at ridiculous hours. I don't know. I need to find out some more Aussie streamers. I know a couple, but and I think there's one floating around New Zealand. But oh, interesting. Well, we're almost directly opposed, but we're also about to enter daylight saving. I'm not sure if that changes things. Um, but otherwise, we're either UTC plus 12 or plus 13, depending on what time of the year. So almost directly opposite. I've been trying to sort of chuckle like at a little 2 hour stream in some nights, but it hasn't been working out too well because of various things going on around the place. All right, crank that off. I've been wanting to do some work on like stream automation and stuff like that because it's really interesting to me, but I also want to progress this so that I don't stall. Okay, so we'll just nudge this back a tiny bit. So this is like the in-between frame. Oh, hang on. No, editing the wrong one. Damn it. I always do this shit. That frame. Hey, that's a bit okay. And then I guess he's walking, so his feet won't actually leave the ground. So why don't we just keep them on the ground but kind of stretch them out a bit. Why doesn't that work? Ah, stop that. It's so weird. Select you, damn it. Random. Okay, so have I made this too subtle? One, two, three. Probably have actually. Uh, let's try. It's a question of degrees. Maybe the hip shouldn't move as much, assuming that is his hip, if he has a hip. Nah, stop it. Go away. Thank you. And then we'll just get really exaggerated with it. Okay, is there a way to play like 3 frames? That's so lame. Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna need to be midday my time. Yeah, difficult. I know you've got a lot of competing demands on your time right now. Stank leg. Okay, I am not dismayed. I'm not. Um, so hang on, what was he doing? He was moving one leg.
This is like the foot's maybe pointed down.
Oh yeah, you
Maybe
could
the
angle
leg's
the
coming
foot.
back a little bit here. And we're sort of like, yeah, we're like as extended as we can be. Right, we're just about to exchange. And then next frame, the foot's off the ground. So it's like bent. And we've
Ah,
got this kind of thing going on. So just exaggerate that here. This is kind of almost more symbolic than it is representational. Like we'll come back.
good thing is the missus is cool with midday streams. So you're taking it. Green light. Excellent. Yeah, I reckon take it. Okay, so what happens if we take this and lift it up a little bit off the line and maybe even rotate it a little bit? Can you do that? Rotate 90 degrees clockwise. Well, actually, he wasn't rotating it like that. He was just changing its shape. So let's try that. Um, I think the secret here is not to worry about how bad you are. because it doesn't really have any measurable impact. Well, the only measurable impact it has is to make you worse. Okay, so okay, so when you push play in a tag, it only plays that tag. Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know. Nice. All right. So so that's right leg. So then the next one is going to be it's going to be the same as this one, I guess. So copy that. No, middle, back to there. Yeah, so we actually want to get rid of what's there now. And paste. So that gives us, okay. So hang on. One is straight up and down. Oh no. So he's saying that you should start forward. So it would be like forward, mid, center, mid, back. So that's, no, hang on, that's only 5, right? I'm so confused.
If we use this flat frame here, it doesn't convey a lot of energy, and it's also an extreme in terms of the frames. So like there'll be the foot down, the foot back, the foot forward. That's 3 frames. If we go
Yeah,
between those two, that's 5, but we've got a 6
yeah.
frame animation. So instead I would take this and I'll distribute it into one that's slightly behind and one that's slightly in front. And that way we'll have 3 frames
Oh,
dedicated to it being in front, 3 frames dedicated to it being in back. That's 6. So I'll actually just animate the feet here. We'll go feet. First frame, I want the foot.
so he's saying start with it, whoops, start with it in that kind of secondary position. Start with it here. Okay, I can get with that. So instead of, so that's frame 1, then frame 2, frame 3, 4. Actually, maybe he's not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6. What? I need to watch this whole thing.
Foot kind of a little bit further back, maybe like here. We're kind of trailing a little bit behind. And then next frame, let's keep the body for all of these. So next frame, this foot's going to be like at its like most extended position,
Yeah,
as
so
far
that's
back
frame
as it can
2.
go. This is like the foot's maybe pointed down. Maybe the legs coming back a little bit here. And we're sort of like, yeah, we're like
I like how
as
he uses
extended as
his
we can
mouse
be.
just to
Right, we're
kind of
just about to
move
exchange.
between the two
And then next
animations.
frame, the foot's off the ground. So it's like
Oh,
bent. And then we've got this kind of thing
so
going
one
on.
back, one well back, and then
So
one
just
off the ground.
exaggerate that here. This
That's
is kind of
3.
almost more symbolic than it is representational. Like we'll come back and make this work later. But we're also going to now go forward. So it's like the first frame of the forward frames we're sort of like crossing over. The leg is bent. Maybe
Ah,
this is like a little too dramatic. Maybe it should be more like lower.
so back, well back,
Yeah.
up,
So we're sort of
swinging
more skidding
forward,
along
that's
the ground
4.
rather than like lifting our leg right up. And then next foot is where like on the ground with just
5
got
is
our
the
heel
landing.
down. We're sort of like have one foot up and heel down, and then the next one will be just in front. So we did just behind. Now we're going to do just in
Okay.
front.
All right. I think I can do this. So what we'll do is we'll choose like a completely neutral color, say um, this gray. Animating the walk cycle is tricky at first. I, I am also of this opinion. This is absolutely the first time I've ever tried to do anything like this. So 1 pixel, right? So first frame, um, and in fact we'll add a layer for this. Uh, Walk guide. All right. So first frame we want to go slightly back. Second frame we want to go well back. It's obviously not right. Third frame off the ground, which we've kind of got, so that's good. Fourth frame swinging forward. Fifth frame planting the leg. And sixth frame a little bit forward, but almost back to neutral. So if we play that, we get something that almost looks like a walk, especially if we hide the leg. All right, that's actually kind of useful. In fact, why don't we just do stick figures, man? You've never done it in 2D? Yeah. It's the time 2116. All right, cool. So good. That's good though, because now that I've got a guide, I can put blobs along it, basically. Um, so let's go back to the start and get rid of everything on right leg. And we'll go blob. Hip blob is what I've been thinking of it as. Knee blob and foot blob. Cool. Then next frame, go away. And then hip blob stays relatively still. Knee blob stretched out. Foot blob even more stretched out. Cool. Then we got these ones, honestly, I think could probably stay there for now. And then this swing forward. So hip blob, knee blob starting to push forward. This is too big, but never mind. And foot blob kind of off the ground. I'm not sure if that really works, but we'll get there. And these go away. Hip, knee, foot. And finally, hip, knee, foot. Uh, so pro. All right, so we put that together. He almost looks like he looks more like he's running than walking, but I mean it's not the worst thing in the world. And if we take away the guide, we get that, which certainly if you take the arm away, kind of looks all right. He's kind of off track to the side, but that's okay. All right, cool. So put that back, put that back. I think his arm probably is going to need to move around too, but that's okay. And we will copy, oh, his torso is already copied all the way through. Um, so what did he do after that?
Okay, now this is gonna look
It looks
pretty
good,
terrible,
surprisingly.
but
Thanks,
at
I
least
think.
we have something to start, right? It has to look
Yeah,
bad
I
before it
agree
looks
with
good.
you, Adam. And at least we have
Cool.
something to start.
So what I'm going to do is just try to make sure that we have a good sense of persistence of where the ground is.
I like that. He goes, just cycles through it like that. That's kind of cool. Doesn't look right backwards. Okay.
So is the foot along these frames moving consistently, and is the ground in the same spot, right? Like, is this line where the foot is touching the ground, is that persistent the whole time? And you could even draw that on here if you want. But in this case, I'm happy to just wing it. So I'm going to say this frame probably needs to be a little further forward. We want to see a bit more of an extension, because from here to here we want to see that.
Yeah, it's your first attempt. Looks like stank legs and more magic leg. Uh, Stank legs. Wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. Um, so actually, if I, he's kind of on the line there. He's still on the line there. It's off. That I think this could come up so that it stays off the ground, maybe. Ground in inverted commas. This one, that needs to be on the line. And the foot's the wrong shape. And same problem here. Why do I keep doing that? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, to be honest. I kind of imagined him walking kind of less dynamically and more sort of stiff-legged golem-like, which we could probably make happen by not having him lift his foot up quite so far off the ground. So maybe, does that keep happening? Maybe more like this. And this could be kind of closer to the ground. I imagine would have his three boulder things use a turn using wheel motion. Interesting. Ooh, that could be fun. Maybe I wouldn't have to animate legs at all. Um, yeah, interesting. I actually have no idea. I kind of just imagined him stomping along, rather than being terribly agile. He's made of rocks after all. I don't know. We're still learning this, so we don't have to, the animation doesn't have to emote anything. We can just get the basics right first and then we can play. All right, so good. So we've got those steps. On the other side, I don't know that we're going to be seeing that much at all, but let's just see how he handled that.
There's like we've moved some distance. And I might even say maybe for these two frames that we could go a little bit more simple. So this here
Constructs
and
with
this here
giant
can actually
wheels.
be a little more
Interesting.
centered. They don't have to be quite as so this to this, yeah, to this, yeah, and then this could be kind of more heels down. Okay. As I'm working on this, it's kind of occurring to me that the amount of space that we're covering in this setup is not really going to get us across an entire tile in one set of steps. So I'm going to try to be dramatic with it, because otherwise
Huh. Interesting
every
point.
step will be like a baby step. I'm going to fight
Oh,
the
excuse me.
temptation to have it be nice and on model, and I'm going to actually let the legs be a little bit more dramatic. I'm going to let them go a little further and overextend and stretch a little bit. Yeah, I would say like this is not far enough. It needs to be like further even. We want
Interesting.
the distance between the frames to be consistent. If you think about it, how fast is the foot moving? So from here to here, we moved like 3 or 4 pixels. We moved like no pixels. Then we moved like 6 pixels. So this one should probably be more further back. So like here to here to here. Still could be maybe one more. Here we could probably bring the knee a lot further forward.
Hmm. I don't need a class in human animation. I need a class in golem
Bring this down a
animation.
little. And this goes for every part, right? Every joint needs to be consistent too. So if we look at the thigh, this like knee point here, draw it like here, you can actually see that the thigh is not moving consistently, right? Look at how much we move on between these two frames versus these two frames. So there should be some pendulum motion, so it does, and that means that this frame can now be kind of perspective here, so it might be a little difficult, especially before we have the final pixels in. The scenario here where we have, imagine this is like the hips here. The length of this leg when it's standing flat, that's our knee, is longer than when the leg is extended. Well, it's taller
Hmm.
at least. It's the same length, so you have to be able to rotate this. It can't reach as far down. But remember, we are on the ground. So if you think about it, the hips, this is a bit dramatic, but the hips have to drop. For this foot to catch the body on the
Huh.
floor, the hips have to be
Interesting.
lower on this frame. Essentially, we can have the body 1 pixel or a couple of pixels lower on the frames when the
Okay.
legs are like this, because
Interesting.
physically they have to be. So that's kind of what's making up for, in this context here, that's what's making up for this leg being
So he's dropping
forward
the
like this. Because
torso to
otherwise, if
match
we
it.
keep it like this, the length here is actually longer than this leg if we don't bring the body down. And we have 2 of those frames. So on the other side, this will be the same thing.
Interesting. Okay, let's see if we can
So
emulate that. I actually think the arms are kind of getting in the way at the moment, but never mind. So which frames would those be? It would be this one. So let's go to torso. The walk gate actually drops the play for a few frames. Yeah. So torso down just a shade. Oh, I really need to stop doing that. And then maybe coming back up just a trifle. Um, and then up, yes, because the leg's off the ground. And then that's the ground striking one, so that should be down again. Get some heads. Can't really tell. I guess that should be down as well. So what does that do? Maybe, maybe too much upward downward movement. I don't know. Maybe. Um, so I presume that the head has to move down when the torso moves down, because why wouldn't it? Way back when I bought a How to Animate with Flash and Dreamweaver, and it has an entire chapter for walk animation. Yeah, I can believe it. I assume that because we're dropping the torso, we also have to drop the arms, but the arms are going to be kind of swinging forward as well. So maybe we should try to do that. So right arm, which is going to be the most dramatic one here, kind of has to move in step with the torso. So when the torso drops, it needs to be like that, but it also needs to start swinging forward. No, stop that. All right, it's now it's one thing. Um, okay, we can deal with that. Let's go kind of this is going to be too long. Uh, quick test: walk around and notice what moves in your own body. Yeah, it's very true actually. Um, because I think the cartoon animation of walking is really very different to how people actually walk a lot of the time. It's more of a march in some ways. Right? Like obviously we're not going to do that, but it's like left foot forward, right arm forward, left foot forward, right arm forward, you know. Um, so this should still be a little bit forward. Should be starting to move backwards. Um, should be well backwards. We're going to need to get the torso out of the way. I think it's actually better if you put the arms above the torso on the layer list. Right blob, 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 blob. Um, and then finally, that's returning, so you want a much less extreme right arm angle. Returning towards a sort of equilibrium. Okay, are we anywhere near? Could be a lot worse, except he kind of looks like he's waving his hand around in a circle. But yeah, we're kind of approaching maybe something approaching a run animation with so much work to do. But I think that that is not bad progress for 9:30 at night. So I'm going to go and get some rest. And is there any particular place that you good folks would like to go next? Who do I recognize? I mean, you could go to Pirates. No, I don't think you can go to Pirate Software tonight, by the looks of it. Uh, Who do I recognize? Yeah, it's a bit of a dry zone for me too. Who do I know? It's one chat that just says went to bed, Discord me. Why would people do that? Um, let's see here. Oh yeah, this guy's kind of interesting to listen to. We'll try him. Grumble of Pugs. He is developing a game about a fruit bat. Grumble of Pugs. And I just like the idea of developing a game about a fruit bat. Good night, folks. We'll see you next time.